Well, here's a quick tutorial on how to take great close-up pictures of the moon. To get a good shot, you need a telephoto lens. Now, most cameras come with a kit, and most will have at least a 200 focal length lens like this one here, but it can be a lot stronger as well. You can see some of these. This one is 350, and if you want to spend a lot of money, they can expend up a lot, such as this large one here, which has a focal length up to 600. Now, you can't hold the camera by hand when you're taking a picture of the moon. However, you want a sharper, more steady shot, it's always best to use a tripod. Also, having a timer on your camera or a remote shutter can also aid in the taking of a steady, sharp picture. As for the weather, though some cloudiness can make for a hauntingly beautiful picture, if you want to take a close-up picture of the moon, you want the sky as clear as possible. Also, cold weather tends to help as well, since there'll be less moisture in the atmosphere to distort the image. And now for the settings for the camera. To start with, you're always going to want to shoot in the RAW format, so that way you can do the maximum post-processing of the pictures. Now the aperture, or the f number on your camera, you want that to be turned up pretty high, anywhere between about f11 to f16, depending on your camera. And for the ISO setting, you're going to want to keep this fairly low since the moon is generally very bright in the sky, especially when it's full. It shouldn't be any more than 200 as a rule, but most experts recommend the best setting will be right around 100. And finally, for the exposure or the shutter speed, the moon does travel pretty quick across the sky, so you want to keep that as fast as possible, otherwise you'll end up with a blurry image and a loss of detail. And finally, try to go to a spot where there's as little light as possible. Go to the middle of a park, maybe outside of a town somewhere on a remote road. Try to get as little light pollution as possible, because the less light pollution there is, the more detail you can get in your picture. So if you want a quick setup, use these tips. Number one, use the biggest lens you have and zoom in as far as you can on the moon. Number two, set the ISO to 100. Number three, set the aperture to f/11. 4, set the exposure to around 1/100. And 5, if possible, use manual focus to get the sharpest possible shot. Happy stargazing, everyone!